Teste.
Over here on create lobby, let's just go into the lobby create UI and call show. So we just need to make that one public. So up here, just make this one public. Okay, that's it, super simple. So here we just call the exact same function. Okay, great. Now, if we do end up creating a private lobby, we need to be able to show the lobby code so that people can actually join. So for that, let's actually go into the character select scene. Let's go into that one. And over here for this one, we need some element to say that. So let's actually go into our generic character select.
Espera aqui.
Okay, that's it, super simple. So here we just call the exact same function. Okay, great. Now, if we do end up creating a private lobby, we need to be able to show the lobby code so that people can actually join. So for that, let's actually go into the character select scene. Let's go into that one. And over here for this one, we need some element to say that. So let's actually go into our generic character select UI, and inside, let's create a new text object. Let's call this the lobby name text, and let's put the usual setup, and let's actually hide this host disconnected window just so we can actually see that. So we're here in the hierarchy, and let's actually hide this host disconnected window just so we can actually see that. So we're here in the hierarchy, let's hide that one. Okay, so we have the lobby name. Let's put it in bold, maybe a little bit smaller. So 24, and the usual setup, so width and height of 0. Put it center, down the middle, disabled, and up here let's anchor it to the top corner. So let's anchor it to the top, and this one is going to say something like lobby name and then the lobby name. Okay, so that's all we want, and then let's duplicate this one, and for this one down here, let's name this the lobby code text, and over here same thing, we're going to say lobby code and then say some kind of code. Okay, that's good.
Ok.
So now let's open up this script, and let's first of all add our references. So the text mesh pro UGUI, since we're working in the UI, for the lobby name text, and another one for the lobby code text. Over here, let's drag our references, so the lobby name and the lobby code. Then all we need to do is set it up, so let's do it over here, private void start. So on start, we need to get the actual lobby, so we go into the kitchen game lobby, the instance, and we need the function to get the actual lobby, so let's make this function. So over here on the kitchen game lobby, we basically just need something to return this join lobby. So let's make that one. So a public going to return a lobby, get lobby, and we just return our join lobby. Okay, like this. So now over here we can grab the lobby, and the lobby is actually inside this one. So we grab the lobby, And over here, we're going to assume we always have a lobby since we only connect this scene when we have joined the lobby. Then on this one, let's just go lobby name.text, and we're going to set it to lobby name. And then let's go into the lobby and grab the lobby name. And then for the code, same thing, we just grab the lobby code. So this is the lobby code and the lobby code text. Okay, so that will show both the name and the code. All that's left before we can test is basically just setting a way to join by the code. The code. All that's left before we can test is basically just setting a way to join by the code. So let's go back into the
Tá, tem que configurar aqui. Lobby name.
lobby scene. So let's go back into the lobby scene. And over here, let's make an option to join by the code. So let's actually hide over here on the inspector, just hide the lobby create UI so we can look behind it. So inside the lobby UI, on this one, let's make one more button. So let's put push it down here. Let's name this one join code button. And then above it, let's make a nice UI input field, the lobby code input field. And let's set it up the same way. So let's put it in black. And down here for the text, this one is up the UI input field, the lobby code input field, and let's set it up the same way. So let's put it in black. And down here for the text, this one is going to say some kind of code. Then let's go inside the text area. And personally, I don't like the placeholder, so let's get rid of that. And for text, let's put it in bold, put it in white, and put it down the middle. Okay, so now let's just position it. So just above there, just above the join by code. And on that button, let's also change the text. So join code like this. Okay, now let's make this logic. So over here on the lobby UI, let's first of all add the reference. So the join code button, and then let's also add another serialized field. This one is going to be, once again, for the TMP input field, for the join code input field. Then here in the editor, let's drag the references, so the lobby code input field and the join code button. Okay, so now joining by code is very simple. Let's make that one on the lobby. script. So over here on the kitchen game lobby, let's go ahead, make a function. So a public void, let's call it join with code, and we're going to receive a string for the lobby code. And over here, we just go into the lobby service, access the instance, and call join lobby by code async. And this one takes in lobby code, so just that lobby code. And as usual, let's make this await. This one is going to return our join lobby, so let's set that one. And if we use await, we need to use async, okay? And as usual, let's put all of this inside a try catch. And finally, after we join the lobby, then it's the same thing as over here, so we need to start the client. Finally, we just need to call this function.
Okay.
Inside a try catch.
Ah, pera, esqueci de pôr o try catch ali, né?
Catch. And finally, after we join the lobby, then it's the same thing as over here, so we need to start the client. Finally, we just need to call this function. So over here on the lobby UI, for the join code button, let's on-click, let's add a listener. Just go into the kitchen game lobby, the instance, join lobby with code, and pass in the join code input field, and let's pass in the text. Okay, so let's test. Okay, so here on this one down here, I'm going to go into play, and let's go ahead create a lobby, and this time let's make it a private lobby. Okay, it created, there's the code, and now on this one, if I try to quick join, and nope, there's an error because there are no open public lobbies. But now if I go into code and I write the same thing, so WNT4F6, and I join with the code, and if there you go, it does connect, and we have our connection. Alright, awesome.
Tá, deixa eu testar o meu agora. Oxi, não entendi isso aqui não. Vou testar de novo.
Next, let's handle one thing, which is lobbies need to send out a heartbeat in order to stay alive. We can join and open the private lobby. The instance, join lobby with UI. We need to start. Okay, to join lobby by input field for the. So just don't like this way. So if you can join the join, will show both the name and the code. All that's left before we can test is basically.
Ayo beauty sih parah bagus.
Just setting a way to join by the code. So let's go back into the here. There, the code input field, and the join code button. Okay. So now joining by code is very simple. Let's make that one on the lobby. Let's put all of this inside a try catch. Right. Button. Let's go into the input field. So here on this one down here, I'm going to go into play, and let's go ahead create a lobby. And this time it's code. And if there you go, it does connect, and we have our Fs. All right, awesome. Next, let's handle.
Por que esse cara que tá todo nulo? Tá, pera aqui. Ah, tá, apesar de que nem esse cara que eu tô usando, né? É esse aqui que tá faltando.
Well, one thing.
Ah, tá, ok.
which is lobbies need to send out a heartbeat in order to stay alive.
Tá, por que que o dele funcionou? O join com código e o meu não? Agora deu.
By default, they will destroy themselves after 30 seconds of inactivity. For example, if here I hit on play and I create a lobby, let's make it public. Okay, the lobby has been created. Now let's wait 30 seconds. Okay, 30 seconds have passed. Now if I click on quick join, and nope, there are no lobbies open. So we made this a public lobby, but it passed 30 seconds, so it was automatically destroyed. So let's make a function to send a periodic heartbeat. That's very simple, so let's go here onto the kitchen game lobby. And let's make a function to handle our heartbeat, and we're going to need to run that on our update. So let's make a private void update, and we're going to have the handle heartbeat function. So let's make this one. So private void handle heartbeat. So we have this function, and now importantly, we also only want to run the heartbeat on the lobby host. So let's make a nice helper function. So private bool is lobby host. And basically it's going to be a host if, well, first of all, we have a lobby. So the join lobby, it is not null. So if we have a lobby and we go into the join lobby and we ask it for the host ID, if that one matches the authentication service, we access the instance and grab this player ID. If it does matches, then this one is the lobby host. So we're here, if is lobby host. If so, then let's send out the heartbeat. And for that one, let's just count down a simple timer. So up here, let's make a private float for the heartbeat timer. Okay. Then over here, heartbeat timer minus equal the heartbeat timer. Okay. Then over here, heartbeat timer minus equals time dot delta time. And if the heartbeat timer goes under 0, if so, then let's first reset it. So the heartbeat timer let's set it to some kind of heartbeat timer max. So let's say we want to send out our heartbeat every 15 seconds. Okay, so let's first reset the timer, and then let's set out the heartbeat. So go into the lobby service, the instance, and over here let's send the heartbeat ping async. This one requires the lobby ID, so let's grab the join lobby and let's grab the lobby ID. Okay, that's it. Let's test. Okay, so here I'm going to go ahead, create a lobby, create a public lobby, and now let's wait for 1 minute. Okay, it has been over a minute, and on this one, if I try to quick join, and if there you go, it does join. All right, awesome. Next, let's
Esperar 30 segundos. Mas meu relógio aqui não tem os segundos, não. Aqui tem.
handle synchronizing some player data, like for example the player name. So let's go inside our lobby UI, and inside let's create a new UI. Let's make it an input field. Let's anchor it up top and put it up there. Let's set it up as usual, so the color on pretty much a dark gray. Let's name this one the player name input field. Then inside for text area, as always, I don't like the placeholder, so I'm going to delete it. For the
É.
text, put it in white, put it in bold, down center. Okay, great. Let's also increase the font size by a little bit. And for the player input field, let's say player name, just default text. And let's make it a little bit bigger. Okay, so that's our simple player name. Now let's handle the script. So let's go inside the lobby UI. And over here, let's add the field. So the field for the player name input field. Here in the editor, let's just drag the reference, okay? So now we have this, and now we need to set it and listen when it changes. So we need some way to store our player name. And for that, let's go over here onto the kitchen game multiplayer. Let's define a field for our player name. So private string for the player name. Then let's set the reference, okay? So now we have this, and now we need to set it and listen when it changes. So we need some way to store our player name. And for that, let's go over here onto the kitchen game multiplayer. Let's define a field for our player name. So private string for the player name. So now we have this, and now we need to set it and listen when it changes. So we need some way to store our player name. And for that, let's go over here onto the kitchen game multiplayer. Let's define a field for our player name. So private string for the player name.
Okay.
And in order to store it between sessions, let's also store it on a player prefs. So over here on the awake, let's go player name and let's set it. So let's go inside the player prefs and let's get a string. Then we need the key. So let's go up here to define a constant. So a private const string, call it player prefs player name multiplayer.
Nee, jetzt kriegst du halt bist.
Let's call it player name multiplayer. So this is the key for our player prefs. Then let's use it down here. So get string of this, and then for default value. So if there's no key recorded, if not, then let's just default to saying player name, and then let's add a random number. So let's go random.range. So actually that's inside Unity engine.random.range. Let's randomize a number between $100 and $1,000. So just get a random number just like this. Okay, so that is going to either get or generate a brand new player name. Now let's make two functions to get and set. So let's make over here a public void, or public string rather. Let's call it get the player name, and we're just going to return the player name. And another one, so a public void set player name, and this one we're going to receive a string for the new player name, and just set this dot player name equals this player name. So we set it, and then we need to update it. So on the player prefs, let's set the string on this same key. So let's use the constant, and let's set this player name. Okay, great. So with this, we have a nice player name defined. Then we can go back here on the lobby UI. So let's go ahead and make a private void start. And on start, let's grab the player name input field and set the text. Let's go into the kitchen game multiplayer, the instance, and let's get the player name.
Private void start.
Okay, so that will update the name. And then we need to know when the player actually changes the input field. So that is actually also pretty simple. So let's just go inside the input field, and over here there's a callback. The callback is called onValueChanged. This is a Unity event, so let's add a listener just like we do with a click. And for the listener, this one is going to receive a string, which is the new text that the player wrote. Okay, so we have this, and over here just go into the Kitchen Game Multiplayer, the instance, set the player name to this new text. Okay, so that will now update the current name, and it will save any new name the player writes. So with that, the player name is being set. Now we just need to show it on the character select scene.
Okay.
So let's go to that one. So that will now update the current name, and it will save any new name the player writes. So with that, the player name is being set. Now we just need to show it on the character select scene. So let's go to that one. So over here on the project, let's go into the character select scene. And over here, let's go inside one of these player prefabs. Let's open it up. Okay, so over there we already have something called ready. And let's duplicate it to make another text object. Put it above. Name this the player name text, and this one is going to say what it is the player name. So let's just go into the script here. Here the character select player, and we're going to add a reference to our player name. So let's add, in this case, it's a Text Mesh Pro. We're using a Wormed object, so it's not player name text. And this one is going to say what it is the player name. So let's just go into the script here, the character select player, and we're going to add a reference to our player name. So let's add, in this case, it's a Text Mesh Pro. We're using a Wormed object, so it's not the UGUI. So it's this one for the player name text. Here in the editor, let's drag the reference like that. Okay. So now we need to set this. And for setting it, over here we have our general update player function. So it's over here that we're going to set the player name text.text, and so it's this one for the player name text. Here in the editor, let's drag the reference like that. Okay, so now we need to set this. And for setting it, over here we have our general update player function. So it's over here that we're going to set the player name text.text, and we're going to set it to something. And for that something, we're actually going to store the player name inside our player data. So let's go here inside the player data, and let's store a public string for the player name. And over here, we need to override all these. So we do an equals on the client ID, the caller ID, and also the player name. Okay. And down here on the serializer, let's also serialize the player name. Except if you remember from the other video, a string cannot be used here. If you look here in the inspector, nope, the player data must be a non-nullable value type. A string can be null, so a string cannot be used. And over here, the alternative is instead of a string, let's use a fixed string and then the number of bytes. This is the length of the string. And for a player name, let's go with the 64 characters. That's big enough for a player name, so let's go with this one. Okay, so we have this inside the player data. And then back here on the character select player, on the update, we go inside the player data, and let's grab the player name. Then this one is a fixed string, so let's just call to string.
Escrever. Tá. Player data.
String to convert it to a regular string. Okay, so that's great. So now the visual for the player should have the player name, and we are having that over here stored on the player data. All we need is really just to set it on the player data. So for that, basically we need to tell the server our name when we connect, and then the server will update the player data, which then is synchronized to all the clients. So let's go over here onto the kitchen game multiplayer, and to tell the server the name, let's do it as soon as we connect. So let's go down to where we are doing the start client. So here we have the start client, we're listening to the client disconnect, and let's also listen to the client connect, so the other one. So on client connected callback. Let's listen this one on the server client disconnect, and let's also listen to the client connect, so the other one. So on client connected callback. Let's listen this one on the server on client connected callback. On the server on client connected callback. Okay, we have this one. Let's create this function. So here it is. So on this function, we have the client ID parameter, so the same as usual. And as soon as we connect, let's tell the server what our name is. Have the client ID. Let's create this.
Aqui. On.
Function, so here it is. So on this function, we have the client ID parameter, so the same as usual. And as soon as we connect, let's tell the server what our name is. So for that, we need an RPC. So let's make a private void, set player name server RPC. And this one is going to be a server RPC. We require ownership as false. Then over here, we receive a string for the player name, and we receive the server RPC param, so we know who sent this. And as usual, let's default it. Okay, great. And over here, we're really going to do the same thing that we did down here. So we receive the server RPC param, so we know who sent this. And as usual, let's default it. Okay, great. And over here, we're really going to do the same thing that we did down here. So here, when changing the color, right now we're going to do the same thing. So let's just copy this code. Let's go up here into our function. And over here, let's paste the same code. So we grab the player data index. From this server RPC params. Okay, that's great. Instead of modifying the caller ID, let's modify the player name into this player name. Okay, so all that's left is over here when the client connects. Let's trigger the server RPC and pass in get player name and update it like this. Okay, so that is going to do it for the client, but then the server itself also has a name. So up here, when we have the start host, we also have this callback. So over here, let's also set the player name. Okay, so host, we also have this callback. So over here, let's also set the player name. Okay, so that should do it. When a player connects, it will send the server their name, then the name is broadcast to all the clients. Let's just make sure to save the prefab, and as always for testing, let's make sure we test starting from the lobby scene. Okay, so let's test. Okay, so yep, we do see our nice input field. So on this one, I can click to modify it. So on this one, let's say I am CodeMonkey. And then on this one down here, let's hit on play. And on this one, let's give it another name. Let's say Iron Man. Okay, so we got the two names. On this one, create a lobby. Let's create a public lobby. And if there you go, it does show the player name. And on this other one, let's do a quick join. And it joins. And if there you go, Iron Man and both.
Ah, veio errado aqui. Ixi. Nice.
Both the names are synchronized. All right, awesome. So here we have all the names in the character select scene. Although, one note here, if you wanted, you could also show these names on the game scene above the players. So if you both go on ready, right now the game just starts playing and we just have the characters, no names. But if you want, you could also add the names up here. But since the players already have different unique colors, I think this scene looks best without the names. Okay, so the next thing we want to handle is the lobby and lifetime. Right now, the lobby will stay alive until we end the entire game session, but there's really no need for that. Once we start the game, we no longer accept any connections, so we should really just clean up and destroy the lobby as soon as the game starts. So first, let's go here to the kitchen game lobby, and let's make a function to delete a certain lobby.
Tá, pera aqui.
So let's make a public void, call it delete lobby. And over here it's very simple, the same thing. So let's go inside the lobby service, the instance, and call delete lobby async. And here we pass in the lobby ID. So let's just check if the join lobby is not null. So if we are inside a lobby, if so, then let's use the join lobby.id and destroy this one. Once again, let's Let's await for this one. Then after we await, let's clean up the join lobby since that one will now be null. And in order to use await, we also need to use async. And finally, we must put all of this inside a nice try catch. Catch the lobby service exception and just do a debug.log. Okay, that's it, pretty simple. Now let's see what we're going to call this. It's over here. Okay, that's it, pretty simple. Now let's see what we're going to call this. It's over here on the character select ready script. Here we have the player ready dictionary where the player tests if all of the players are ready, and if so, then loads the game scene. So before doing that, let's just go into the lobby, so the kitchen game lobby, the instance, and let's delete the lobby. Okay, so that handles the cleanup when the game starts. For something similar, which is going to be when we leave the lobby manually, for doing that, we also need to make sure that client leaves the lobby. So back in the kitchen game lobby script over here, let's make another function. So this one, public void leave lobby. And this one just go into the lobby service, the instance, and this one we call remove player async. This one takes a lobby ID, so that's the join lobby.id. And then it also takes a player ID, so let's go inside the authentication service, access the instance, and grab this player ID. So this will remove this player from this lobby. So as usual, let's do the same thing, so await async. Okay, so just like this, pretty simple. And as to where we're going to leave, it is going to be over here on the lobby UI, so we have a button to go back into the main menu. So when we do, let's just go into the kitchen game lobby, the instance, and let's make sure to leave the lobby. Okay. So finally, the last possible scenario for leaving a lobby is actually if the player is kicked. So let's make a function to kick a player. Back here on lobby, it's going to be very similar. So let's actually copy this. And let's call this kick player. And inside we're going to receive a string for the player ID. Then over here we call the exact same function, except instead of using this player ID, let's use the one that we received over there. And of course for kicking, we're not leaving the lobby ourselves. So let us not do this. And instead of testing if the lobby is not known, for kicking, we're not leaving the lobby ourselves. So let us not do this, and instead of testing if the lobby is not known, we're only going to be able to kick players if we are the lobby host. So is lobby host, then we kick this player. Okay, so now for calling this function, it's over here on the character select player script. We've got our kick button. When we kick, we get the player data. We kick the player from the multiplayer, so from the netcode itself. And then over here, we also need to kick them from the lobby. So let's go into lobby, instance, kick the player, and now we need a player ID. So the obvious question, how do we get that? And the obvious answer is the same thing that we did. Which is, let's just store it over here on the player data. So let's go here, and the player ID is also a string. So let's do also a fixed string. So player ID. And let's copy all these. Okay, just like this. Then on the kick function, we can go inside the player data and use the player ID. All right, now we really just need to set this. So for that, let's go in the multiplayer script. And over here, we're really just going to do the exact same thing that we did on the set player name. So let's copy this RPC. Except instead of set player name, this is going to be set player ID. Let's receive a string for the player ID. And we're going to set the player data.player ID. Okay, so that's what we modify. And let's just call it when we set the player name. So when a client connects, let's send this in. And for the player ID, let's go inside the authentication. Let's go inside the instance and grab this player ID. So we set it over here when we set the player name, and same thing up here when we set that one. Okay, so we set it over here when we set the player name, and same thing up here when we set that one. Okay, so let's test. Okay, so starting off, let's create a lobby. Let's make it a public lobby.
Tá testando. Create lobby público.
Lobby, and first of all, let's just start playing just like this. And there you go, here we are playing, there are no errors, okay, so everything is working perfectly. Now on this one down here, if I try to do a quick join, and nope, it does not find any lobbies. That's because this one was now destroyed. Okay, great. Okay, now here let's try to create another lobby. Then on this one, let's do a quick join, and on this one, let's get them from the lobby, and yep, there you go, that does work. And now if we try joining again, and yep, it also still works. Okay, great. So all did work. And now if we try joining again, and yep, it also still works. Not find any lobbies. That's because this
No meu caso aqui não deu muito certo não, pera aí. Ah, ok, agora deu certo. Consegui entrar, vou sair. Não consegui entrar de novo. Então o main menu deu errado. Então aqui tem esse main menu. Nice.
This one was now destroyed. Okay, great. Okay, now here let's try to create another lobby. Then on this one, let's do a quick join. And on this one, let's hit them from the lobby. And yep, there you go, that does work. And now if we try joining again, and yep, it also still works. Okay, great, so all the logic is working perfectly. Now, one issue we have right now is that our lobby isn't really very responsive. There are lots of actions that take a little bit of time, but that is not visible to the player. So let's just add some nice messages. Previously, we already made this window the connection response message UI. It shows a message and a close button. So we could just make another window just like this one, or we can simply reuse this one. Let's reuse it just so we don't end up with tons of different windows. And first of all, let's actually put both these windows, let's put them on top of the actual lobby UI. Okay, so like this.
That better go.
Alright, so now let's rename this one to just lobby message UI, so a bit more of a generic name. And lobby just because this object only exists over here on the lobby scene. So now that we've renamed the game object, let's also rename over here the script. So rename to lobby message UI. And obviously this is going to have some errors. We need to make sure that the script name actually matches the file name. So up here inside, let's just modify the class name like this. Okay, the name is correct. Now over here, we are showing this message based on these events. So let's simply make a bunch more. We want the window to show when trying to create a lobby. So let's go over here onto the kitchen game lobby.
Duh.
And let's make an event to fire on that. So a public event handler. And for this one, let's using system. Okay. So on this event, let's call it on create lobby started. So when we start creating the lobby. Another one on create lobby failed. Okay, so we have these two events. Also, by the way, since we added using system, now over here we've got a ambiguous reference between the Unity engine random or the system random. So over here we can solve this by just using the complete name. Okay, great. So let's go down to where we are creating the lobby. So let's see the function over here to create the lobby. Again, remember that these are await functions, which means that this go to create the lobby isn't instant. It's actually going to contact the Unity server in order to create the lobby. So this is why we need a visual for the player, because this is not instant. So before we try to create the lobby, let's fire off the on create lobby started. So invoke with the usual. This and event args. Okay, so we try to create the lobby, and then if we succeed, we're going to load the other scene, so there's no need to post any message. But if we do fail, then over here let's post a message. So let's use the on create lobby failed. Okay, these are the two basic events. So now back here on the lobby message UI, let's listen to them. So let's go into the kitchen game lobby, the instance, and first of all the on lobby started. And as usual, let's rename this to give it a proper name. So kitchen game lobby, on lobby started, and the other one, which is the on create lobby failed. Let's listen to this one as well. Okay, we have our events, and let's also make a generic function in order to show a message. So up here, a private void show message, going to receive a string for the message. And then we're just going to call show and set the message text.text into this message. So now up here we can simply show these, so do the exact same logic. So if disconnect reason is none, then let's call show message. And let's show the general message failed to connect. And if not, if we do have a disconnect message,
Lauzinho. Psiu, psiu.
then let's show that disconnect message. Okay, great. So now the code is a bit simpler. So we just have the show message. So over here, let's just say, so this one is on the create lobby start. So let's say creating lobby. And on this one up here, fail to create lobby. Okay, so that's great. That handles those messages. The other place where we want to show some messages is on the quick join. So let's do the same thing with two events. So let's make an event, and one, let's call it on join starting. So this works for both the quick join and the other ones. And another one on quick join failed. So let's go down, and another one on quick join failed. So let's go down and do the exact same thing. So let's go over here on the quick join. So on join starting. Let's invoke this event with this and event targets.empty. Okay, we have our event. And then if we do join, then we're going to load the other scene, so no need, and it's over here. So on quick join fail like this. Let's also put the same thing over here on the on join with code, so on join start. And then let's make another one. So on join failed. We'll just go. Go up here to define this one. So on regular join failed. Okay, great. So over here, let's just listen to those events. So the usual thing. So the instance. Let's go with the on join starting. Let's listen to this one. Then the other one is the on join failed. And finally, we have the on quick join failed. Okay, let's rename all of these. Okay, we have all of our events. Now for these messages. So on join starting, let's just say joining lobby. Then this one up here, fail to join lobby. And on this one up here, on the quick join failed, could not find a lobby to quick join. Alright, so that's it. Here we have all of our messages. Let's test. Okay, so here if we try to create a lobby, let's go ahead, create on public, and there you go, create a lobby, and it takes a little bit, and we have a nice visual, so that's great. And now on this one, let's go ahead, click on play, and let's go ahead with the quick join, and there you go, join lobby, connecting, and yep, it connects. Let's see the other ones for fail to join. So if I exit both lobbies, and if I try to quick join, and there you go, it did work. It simply fired off the error. That's because over here in Unity, this one throws an exception, and Unity treats that as an error, so it automatically paused the game. But in the build, this is not a problem since it won't stop. So over here, if we hit on play, going to quick join, joining lobby, and nope, could not find a lobby to quick join. And if I try to join by code, it also does not find this lobby with this code. Alright, great. So just with this, our lobby actions are now much more responsive. Okay, great. So finally, let's do the most obvious lobby feature that is still missing. Let's simply enlist all of the available lobbies so the player can choose which one to join. So for that, first, let's go over here onto the...
Tá, peraí. Vou pegar café ali.
catching again lobby, and let's make the function to actually list all of the lobbies. So let's go up here, make a simple function. So private void list lobbies.
Tá, pera aí.
And in order to enlist all the lobbies, all we need to do is do a query. So let's go into the lobby service instance, and let's call query and lobbies. This one takes a query and lobbies options. If you don't include this, then it will simply show all the lobbies. But right now, let's actually add a filter. Let's only show the lobbies that are available, so let's not show the ones that are full. So over here, let's make a query lobbies options, and let's construct a new object of this type. And inside we've got the filters, so let's create a new filters. This one takes a list of query filter. So So now inside we can create a new query filter. And for this one, for the field, we only want the ones with available slots. So let's go with available slots. Then for the value, we want all the ones that have more than 0. So let's go with 0, except this one actually is a string value, not an int. So let's just put this as a string, okay? And finally, for the operation, we only want the ones that have more than 0. So let's use the GT, which means greater than. So this will only show all of the lobbies that have available slots greater than 0. Okay, so just like this, and over here, let's use the query and lobbies options. And as usual, let's await this. And this one, we can see what this returns. So this is actually going to return a query response. So let's grab the query response. And also, since we are using await up here, we need to mark it as async, okay? So we grab the query response, and now inside over here we've got the results, and the results is a list of lobby. Okay, now in order to show them on the UI, we're going to fire off an event, so let's do that. Let's go all the way up here, make another event. For this one, let's call it on lobby list changed. And in the event, we want to pass in the list of lobbies, so let's make a public class on lobby list changed event args. Let's extend event args, and inside let's have a public list of lobbies. And just call it the lobby list. And now the event is of this type. Okay, great. So now over here, when we have the list lobbies, we get the query, and then let's invoke this event, pass in with this, and create our new event args. And inside we have the lobby list, and we pass in the query response to our results.
Okay.
Okay, so just like this, and as usual, let's wrap this inside a try catch. So try, and the usual catch, the lobby service exception, like this, and do a debug.log. Okay, so this is going to enlist our lobbies and fire off the event when we have the enlist. And let's also periodically call this function in order to make it automatically refresh. So for that, let's go up here onto the update. We're going to have another function. Let's say handle periodic list lobbies.
B.
Let's make this function. So on this one, we're going to count down a timer. So let's call it the list lobbies timer. We're going to count it down by time.time. Let's just define the timer all the way up here, just where we define the heartbeat timer. So as usual, a private float for this. Okay, we have this timer. So we count down the timer and the usual thing. So if it is under 0, if so, then let's first reset it. So put it to some timer max. Let's define it in here. The timer max. And let's say we want to refresh. We don't need to be too specific, so let's say maybe 3 seconds. So we reset the timer and then simply call list lobbies, which in turn that one is going to fire off the event, which the UI will listen. Okay, so that's great. Although here this is going to continue listing the lobbies even when the player has already joined the lobby. So that's a little bit wasteful, so let's not do that. So we're only going to run this if the join lobby equals null, meaning if the player has not yet joined the lobby, let's automatically refresh. But as soon as they do, don't bother wasting. And also one more thing, this is actually going to throw an error if we run it right away. That is because over here, the authentication, this one signing in, this one is going to take a little bit of time. So on the very first update, it will not already be signed in. So we can just simply go into the authentication service and let's just check is signed in. So this is only going to list the lobbies when we are signed in. Okay, great. So that's the function for enlisting all the lobbies. Now let's just make the UI. So over here in the editor, let's open up, let's just hide our message window. We don't really need that. And for the lobby UI, let's go inside of it. And over here, let's create an empty game object. Call this the lobby list container. And now inside it, let's make a new UI button. Call this the template. And inside for the text, let's give this UI button, lobby list container. And now inside it, let's make a new UI button. Call this the template. And inside for the text, let's give this a better name. So let's say the lobby name text. And now let's set it up visually. So let's make it a little bit bigger. And for the lobby name, let's actually anchor it on the left side. Just move it to the left by a little bit. Let's put it in bold, maybe something a bit smaller, maybe 22. Let's put it in white, and for the background, let's put it in a dark one. Black, and make it a little bit bigger, so let's say 40 or 50. Okay, so like this we have our button, and this is going to display our lobby name. Okay, great. Now for positioning these, let's go ahead and add a vertical layout group over here onto the container, and you can also put the width and height both at 0. Okay, so let's position it somewhere around there, and basically we're going to dynamically spawn the template, so something like this. Let's just increase the spacing by a little bit, maybe 10. Okay, just like this. Let's also make a background for our UI. So let's create a new UI image. Let's put it all the way up there. And let's scale it something like this. Maybe put it in white, but a little bit transparent. Okay, so that's just a nice visual background. Also for another visual thing, over here in the game, the background still looks a bit odd. So you could use a solid color, or let's just simply actually go into the main camera. So that's what the camera can see, and let's just move it up a little bit. So over here on the while, let's rotate it something like this, just so we have a nice gradient. Okay, so that looks good. Now let's go over here onto the lobby UI script, and let's begin by adding references to what we need. So we're going to need a transform for the lobby container, another one for the lobby template. So now here, let's drag our references. So the lobby list container and the template, okay? And now let's make a simple function in order to update that list. So private void, call it update lobby list. In order to know what lobbies we want to spawn, let's receive a list of lobby, and it's this one inside Unity Services lobbies model. Okay, this is the lobby list. And on start, we're going to start off with an empty list. So let's call this with an empty list. Then we're also going to want to show it on that event. So let's go into the kitchen game lobby, the instance, and on the lobby list changed. When this one happens, let's call update lobby list. And pass in the e.lobbylist. Okay, great. So now we just need to make this function. And here we're going to do the usual setup that we've done so many times on the single player course. So let's first handle the cleanup. So let's do a for each transform child in the container. So that is the lobby container. So let's cycle through all the container. Let's see if this one is a template. If child equals the template, the lobby template. If so, let's skip this. We don't want to destroy the template. But if not, let's destroy. And we're going to destroy the child.game object. Okay, so that handles the cleanup. Then let's do a for each lobby in the lobby list. So we cycle through these. Let's instantiate our template, so the lobby template, and this one is going to be our lobby transform. Then first thing we want is to actually enable the template. So on this one, set active into true, which also means that we need to disable this one in the beginning. So up here on the awake, let's set the template game object set active into false. Okay, so that hides the template, and over here we are showing it. All right, so now all that's left is to pass in this lobby onto this transform. So let's make a script to do that. Let's create a brand new C# script for the lobby list single UI. Let's go ahead and select the template, and let's set the lobby list single UI, so right there.
Okay.
Pass in this lobby onto this transform. So let's make a script to do that.
Aqui no caso, né? Aqui é
that's left is to pass in this lobby onto this transform. So let's make a script to do that. Let's create a brand new C# script for the lobby list single UI. Let's go ahead and select template, and let's add the lobby list single UI, so right there. Also importantly, make sure you add it to the right template. Basically, these other ones don't matter. Those are just to see the positioning. So if you want, you can even just clean this up. Just make sure they're
Fechou.
Script. There's only one template. This is the one that is selected over here, and it's on this one.
Ok, pera aqui. Então, template. Clica aqui. Container. Template. E esse template tem o script. Ok.
That we have the script. So now here on this script, pretty simple. We're going to have a public void in order to set lobby, and we're going to receive a lobby object. So lobby, let's receive this one and store it. So here a private for the lobby, and do this dot lobby equals this lobby.
E
Lobby. Then for the single, for this one, we're going to want to update the text and then handle the click. So for the text, let's go up here, add a serialized field, private text mesh pro UGUI for the lobby name text. Okay. Now here in the editor, let's drag the reference. So the lobby name text, let's drag this reference on there. All right. And then for the button, since we already made this template, this one itself as a button, let's do private void awake. And on awake, let's get component of type button.
Ah, eu prefiro fazer assim.
And when we click, let's add an on click, add a listener, and we're going to want to join this lobby. And also, by the way, up here, we are going to want to update the name. So the lobby name text.text equals this lobby.name. Okay, great. And finally, for joining, we're going to go into the kitchen game lobby, the instance, and let's join the lobby. And also, by the way, over here, we need to do it by the ID. That is because for public lobbies, when the enlist lobbies function calls, when that one lists on the lobbies, the lobby.lobby code, this one is actually going to be null. So we cannot join a public lobby through that list by the code. We need to join it by the ID. So very simple, just over here, and let's make a function example like the other one. So example like we have join with code.
Tá, pera aqui. Que isso, gente?
And let's join with ID. And we're going to receive a string for the lobby ID. And then instead of join lobby by code, join lobby by ID. And everything else is exactly the same. Then over here, let's just use this function and pass in the lobby dot. ID. Finally, back here on the update lobby list, When we grab the lobby transform, we need to get the component of our lobby list single UI, and let's pass in set lobby.
Oh, Tony, por que você tá arranhando a porta, hein? Ixi, que isso, amigo? Lobby list single UI.
And pass in this lobby. Also, by the way, up here, when we instantiate, we need to instantiate inside the lobby container. Alright, so let's test. And up here we are, so the list starts off as empty because there are no lobbies. Now in this one, let's go ahead, create a lobby. Let's make it a
Oh, yeah. Funciona, que beleza.
name, so my lobby name, and let's go ahead and make it public. And it created, and yep, there you go, that one did update, so we now see it on the list. And now if I click on it, yep, there you go, it does join the lobby. Okay, great. Now let's also test to make sure this one only shows lobbies that have available slots. Okay, so here I have a bunch more builds. So on this one, let's play. And yep, we do see the lobby, let's join it. And yep, there you go, joined. Now this one, let's go ahead. We do see it, and for this one, for joining, let's join it with a quick join. And yep, there you go, everything works perfectly. And on this one, if I go on to play, and nope, the lobby does not show up. The game is now full, so it does not show. And just one thing that I forgot a while ago, over here on the character select UI, we need to make sure to leave the lobby when we go back to the main menu. So up here for the kitchen game lobby instance, and let's make sure to leave the lobby. So now here we are, and the lobby is full, so it does not show up over here. Now if one of these, if we leave, and if there you go, that one left, this slot is now available, so now this one can indeed join. Alright, awesome. Okay, so here we added yet another extremely important feature to our multiplayer game. We added the lobby so that players can create games and other players can join them. Now, like I mentioned, one thing we still don't have are different sessions. Right now, all of the lobbies are being created on the same IP, same port. So let's solve that by implementing Unity Relay in the next lecture. Hello and welcome, I'm your Code Monkey. In this lecture, we're going to set up our project to use Unity Relay.
Okay.
This is how we can make our game easy to play by not requiring the players to handle anything to do with port forwarding or firewalls. By using this, we can easily connect any two players anywhere in the world, and it all works seamlessly under the hood. Okay, so here let's implement the relay, which is actually pretty easy. But before we do that, let's actually fix one thing that I forgot in the previous lecture. If we are playing the game, and over here let's create a lobby, and then I just go into ready and go into the game state, and nope, over here we have an error. It's a missing reference exception, and yep, it's right here on the lobby UI script for updating the lobby list. Once again, the issue is the same that we already saw, which is...
Esse aqui eu não vi também não, né? Lobby UI.
because the listeners, basically this object is destroyed, but the kitchen game lobby, that one continues. So let's clean up the event. So let's do private void on destroy. And when this object is destroyed, let's make sure to unsubscribe from these events. So from this one, do minus equals. Okay, great. Also, the other one where we used events was on the messages. So over here on the lobby message UI, we are listening to a whole bunch of messages. So let's also unsubscribe from these. We're already unsubscribing to that one, so let's just unsub from all of these. So just do minus equals on all of them. Okay, so that handles that problem. Although actually this error is caused by something that is actually not supposed to happen. The issue is because it was still trying to update the lobby list even though we were in the game scene. Now that is not correct. We should not be refreshing the lobby list when we are already playing the game. So over here on the kitchen game lobby script, let's scroll down to where we are handling the periodic list lobbies. And over here we are listing if join lobby is null. And when we go into the actual game, when we do that, we're actually destroying the lobby, so this one becomes null. So that is why on the game scene this one is still running, but we don't want that. So let's make sure this one only runs if we are on the lobby scene. So super simple, let's just add scene manager. Let's get the active scene, and let's compare the name, and let's compare with the loader.scene, and we only want to run this on the lobby scene. Okay, so just like this, we only want to list the lobby.
Ok.
If we are on the lobby scene. So let's test.
Deixa eu testar aqui. Demorou pra criar isso aqui. Vou tentar tirar esse debug aqui.
Let's hit on play. Let's create a public lobby. Let's go as ready and go into the game and now play. And yep, now everything works perfectly. Okay, great. So now let's actually handle the relay. Again, I have a dedicated video on relay. You can watch that if you want. Although the relay is super simple, so here I will cover pretty much everything that I also covered in that video. If in the future you forget how relay works, you can either come back to this lecture or just watch a standalone video. First thing we need is just install the package, so let's go into the usual package manager. On the Unity registry, under all, let's wait for it.
Pera aí.
To fetch, and now let's find the relay package. So here it is, the relay, currently version 1.05. Let's go ahead and install. Alright, the package was installed. Now we need to use it. So just like we did with the lobby, let's go onto the Unity dashboard. And first of all, make sure you are selecting the correct project. Then over here on the left side, let's go into relay. And let's go ahead and set up the...
Tá, pera aqui, deixa eu abrir aqui. logando. Relay, ok. Use with lobby. Get started. Next. Install o relay, ok. Finish. Gostei desse aqui. Deixa eu instalar essa demo aqui.
Function, so here we are. We create a brand new lobby and we start the host right away.
Tá, pera aqui. Deixa eu fechar isso aqui tudo.
So we need to allocate the relay before we start the host. So over here, let's do that. Let's make a function to allocate the relay. So a private void, let's call it allocate relay. And now inside here, we are going to go inside the relay service. Also, by the way, sometimes Visual Studio might not update, so just go ahead, close it, and let's reopen.
Deixa eu resetar aqui o bicho. Aí.
Open it again. And over here, if we go inside relay service, here Visual Studio now does see, yep, we need to add using Unity services.relay, so let's add that. Then here, let's access the instance and call the function to create an allocation async. This one just requires an int for the maximum number of connections. So in our game, we already defined the max number of players, so let's go into the kitchen game multiplayer, and over there we have the max player amount. Although importantly, over here for the connections, it is actually minus the host. So we want 4 players, that is what we have here on the max player mount. So minus the host, let's just do -1. And then if you want, optionally, you can set a region, or the relay itself will decide the region, so let's just let them decide. Okay.
Okay. Kitchen Game Multiplayer Instance ponto. Que? Que isso, amigo? Kitchen Game Multiplayer ponto Instance ponto Max. Ah.
Okay, so this one is going to return an allocation. So allocation, so it's this one inside Unity Services Relay Models. So this is the relay allocation, and as always, this one is an awaitable call. So let's await and async. Okay, so this is going to allocate our relay. And now, just like with the lobby, let's put this inside a try catch just to make sure the game doesn't crash. So catch, and let's cache for any relay service exception. If that happens, let's just do a debug.log. Okay, great. Then we basically want to get the allocation. So when we have async, we can't directly return an allocation here.
No, sync.
When working with async, we must return something typed task. Now this has nothing to do with Unity itself, this is regular C# code. So in C#, when using async and await, we need to use tasks, which as you can see, you can inspect these functions and see they also return a task and inside an allocation, so this is how you work with it. So over here, let's make task and return an allocation. And then, so we allocate it and we return this allocation. And in case we have an error, let's just return the default. And also up here, we need to make sure to include system threading.tasks.
Que foi, Tony? Ah! Nala. Psiu. Psiu. Aí.
Okay, so there you go. So we have this nice function to allocate the
Okay.
relay. So now over here on the lobby, let's just call the function allocate our relay. And we made it async, so let's also await this. Okay, so this is going to allocate our relay. And now the reason why I made it return the allocation is because we're going to need it. After we allocate, we need to actually generate the code in order to be able to use it. And now the reason why I made it return an allocation is because we need the allocation in order to set the Unity transport. So the way we set it to use a relay is we go inside the network manager, let's access the singleton, and from the singleton, let's get the transport attached to it. So let's do get component of type Unity transport, this one right here. So inside Unity netcode transport CTP. Then on the transport, we've got a function set relay server data. And this is how we can pass in data. So let's make a new of this type. Sets relay server data. So let's add this one. And over here, this one, as you can see, it takes an allocation. So that is why we need over here the allocation for the relay. So let's grab the allocation. We grab this.
Espera aqui, amigo, espera aqui.
Then we use it over here. And the next parameter is the connection type, and by default Unity recommends using DTLS, so this is some type of encryption. Alright, so that's it. So now when we call start host, it is going to start the host and start the connection going through this relay. So this handles over here the
Ah, do nada, acabei de baixar todos os jogos ao mesmo tempo. Ó. Tá.
creating the host.
Allocation. Passei o allocation pra cá. Start host, ok.
And how we join a relay is we have to join through a code. So let's generate a brand new relay code based on this allocation. So let's make a function for that. So private void. Let's call this get relay join code. And inside we go inside the relay service, grab the instance, and we get the join code async. And this one, as you can see, it takes an allocation ID. So let's receive a parameter allocation. And over here we use the allocation.allocation ID. Okay, so this one is going to return a string with our relay join code. So string for
Pera aqui. Allocation.
the relay join code. And we get this, and as usual, let's await this. And this one is async. Okay, great. So we have this one, and then let's do it just like we did. So let's return this relay join code. So let's make it return a task of type string. And then we can just return the relay join code. Now, as usual, let's put this inside a try catch. So let's try and let's catch a relay service exception. Let's do a debug.log on E, and we have to return something, so let's just return a default. Okay, so now this function gets us a relay join code. So now in here, after we get the allocation, let's get a string for the relay join code, and we get the relay join code and pass in the allocation. And let's make sure to do this on an await. Okay, great, so that's pretty much all we need over here on the create lobby. So we allocate the relay, we get the relay join code, we set up the Unity transport to use this relay, and then we start the host. So that's all great over here. The next thing we need is some way of joining the relay through a code. So let's make that function. So private void, some way of joining the relay through a code. So let's make that function. So private void, let's call it join relay. And over here, let's go inside the relay service, the instance, and we join allocation async. So this one takes a string for the join code. So let's receive here the string for the join code, and we use the join code. This is how we can join a relay. And you can note how this one returns a join allocation. So that is the same type of allocation that we're going to need in order to set up the Network Manager Unity transport. So let's also make this function return that. So let's return a task of type join allocation. And as usual, let's make this async. And on this one, let's await. And the usual try catch. So this one returns a join allocation. And we're just going to return this. And over here, return the default. Oh.
Turn default. Bota um E aqui. Não, aqui é join allocation. Join.
Alright, so that's this function. We pass in a relay join code and then it joins the allocation. So then let's go down here to where we are joining. So for example, over here on quick join. So we first joined the lobby. Okay, great. Then afterwards, let's join the relay. So let's call join relay by code. And over here, obviously we need the join code, but let's worry about that in a little bit.
Calma, pera aqui. Quick join. Join.
So this one is going to return a join allocation. So join allocation, we await this and we get that. And then with this allocation, we can do the same thing that we did here in order to set up the Unity transport. So we just paste this. Function, instead of using an allocation, we use the join allocation. Okay, so that's it. This is all we need in order to join through the relay. Now the obvious thing is over here we need the relay join code. So the big question is, how do we get it? And actually that's very simple. We're going to use the lobby in order to share the relay join code. So let's go up here to when we are getting the allocation, getting the relay join code, and let's just add the relay code as part of the lobby data. So over here, let's just go in the lobby service, the instance, and let's call the function update lobby async. So we're going to update the lobby data. This one requires the lobby ID, so let's use the join lobby.id. And then for the update lobby options, let's create a new object of this type. And over here, we can update all of this type. And let's update the data. So let's make a new one of this type. So this one takes a string and a dictionary. Let's add a brand new entry to this dictionary. And first of all, for the key, let's define a key, and as usual, let's not define it over here. So let's go to the top of the file and make a nice constant. So up here, a private const string, call it the key relay join code, and say relay join code. Okay, so we have this key. And over here, when we update the lobby, let's use this key. And then for the value, let's just pass in the relay join code. Although this needs to be inside data object, so let's make a new data object. And for the visibility, we want this to only be visible to members of this lobby. So let's go with member. And for the value, let's pass in the relay join code.
Espera aqui, data, new dictionary e data object. Ok. Ok. New.
Okay, so this is it. And this This one, as usual, is an awaitable call like this. Alright, so with this we are updating the lobby to hold the data for the relay join code. Then all we need is to get it when someone joins. So down here on the quick join, we have joined the lobby. And inside the lobby, we can simply access the data. And inside we can access on the same key. And yep, over here we have a string for the relay join code. So we have this
string relay join code. Join the lobby.
and then we just use it over here. And also, by the way, this one has a data object, so we need to grab the value. Okay, so that's really it. It really is that simple. So when we create, we update the lobby data with the relay join code, and when we join, we grab that, we use that to join the allocation, and we join with Unity Transport. Now what we need to do is we need to make sure to run this code before every single start client. So over here on the quick join, we do that. Then use that to join the allocation, and we join with Unity Transport. Now what we need to do is we need to make sure to run this.
Essas 3 linhas aqui eu tenho que executar no join log também.
Code before every single start client. So over here on the quick join, we do that. Then on join with ID, let's do the same thing, and same thing down here, join with code, like that. So you always need to make sure to set up the Unity Transport to use a relay before you start client or start host. Alright, so that's really it. With this, the relay is fully implemented, so let's test. Also on the network manager, let's scroll down to the Unity Transport, and over here for the protocol, let's swap it out for the relay Unity Transport.
Tá, pera aqui. Unity Relay Transport. Buildando aqui. Aí buildou. Dá play. Ah, eu nem vi, né, o commit, o log. Best Vision South America. Uhum. Ok, tá, deixa eu fazer o commit isso aqui. Será que se eu gerar build funciona? Pera aqui. Ah, tem um ponto aqui, né? Não voltei o vídeo.
we're almost at the very end, so congratulations on making it this far. This one is the second secret callout, so go ahead, post a timestamp and a monkey emoji in the comments. It will be fun to see how many people make it to this point. If you've made it this far and understood everything, then you already have most of the knowledge needed to build just about any multiplayer game. Let me know in the comments what kind of multiplayer ideas you'd like to build. Maybe you're a fan of something exactly like this, a casual co-op game, or maybe you're more interested in building something with some exploration and building, kind of like Valheim, or perhaps you'd like to make some kind of shooter game.
Espera aqui. Certo. Eu vou. Então, eu já fiz o commit. Eu vou parar a live aqui porque eu vou dar uma organizada na casa, depois eu volto. Falou!